What up, baseball family? Welcome to this episode of the Baseball Together podcast. We are live. It is Thursday night. We are here April 10th, 9:30. Welcome to the party, pal. How are you, Brad?
I'm good. I'm glad that the music's back. I'm glad we figured out how to get that going again.
Yeah, it's about time. I agree. Juices me right
Well,
up.
it's like we said
Pretty
last
excited.
year. We moved into this new house the end of the season. Then we went a long time without doing any lives and just didn't really tinker with it. We just kind of had the boxes lying around and stuff still. So now we're
Yeah.
getting a little bit more moved in. I think we're going to move some pictures around a little bit more and figure out exactly what we want to do with things. But
Yeah.
here we are. We're
Time to
finally getting moved in.
decorate. Time to decorate,
That's right.
Brad. We're
You're right.
nesting now, baseball family. That's what we're doing. It's pretty great. Hey, I went to my first jumbo shrimp game over the last couple of days. What day was it? Tuesday. I went on Tuesday, and it was really fun. It was cold, and there were not a lot of people there, but I got this sweet hat. I got two hats, Brad. I ended up with two hats.
Of course
It
you
was
did.
pretty sweet. Yeah, of course you did. I told my kids, I said, "Hey, we got to get there a little early." They're like, "Why?" I was like, "Because I got to go to the team store." And they all went, "Oh, yep, they know. They know." And so does Brad. Brad, I had another one of my Brig baseball game stories where we were early enough and one of the first cars to pull into the parking garage. And the guy said to me, "Do you want VIP parking?" And I said, "Yes, I do." "Yeah. What does that mean?" He's like,
Absolutely.
"Come with me." I'm like, "Okay. Is it still $10?" Like the sign said $10. We're halfway there, and I'm like, what's that going on here? He's waving me around. He's walking me over to the stall, and then he says, "Just a generous tip to me, $10." And then and I was like, oh, I see. Do I have to have cash for this? He looks at me sideways, like, yes, you idiot.
He doesn't take Venmo for tips.
I'm like, what do you mean? Who carries cash these days? Like, okay, for emergencies, but I don't carry a 5 or a 10 in cash anymore. Like, an emergency fund is not fives and tens for me. So
I
I'm
carry
like,
I
I
carry
turned to,
singles in my car so I can stop and get a soda on my way into the office. That's
there
what
you
I
go.
do.
That's right. So I turned to Marina. I'm like, do you have any cash? She's like, yeah, I got a little bit. So she carries cash. I learned, which is really cool. So then he got in trouble because he wasn't supposed to be doing this. And I'm like, you can't knock the hustle. Come on, man. So they were trying, as a supervisor, I watched it. I backed into the spot front and center. I had a front row seat to this supervisor dressing this guy down. It was hilarious. Everyone's like, what's happening? I'm like, shh, be quiet. Just wait, just wait. Hold on, I'm watching this. So I'm narrating in my head what I'm sure must be taking place on this conversation, and ended up I tipped him instead of, he was told to share it. He was to share the tip with everybody.
Share the
And I was
tip.
like,
That's
no. So I did one of those where I gave him a high five and the cash was in there.
yeah.
And I was like, just tell him we didn't tip you. He's like, yeah, you got it. I was like, this is stupid.
And then when you go back, you're gonna be known as the cheapskate who doesn't tip. There you go.
Right. The one time I'm back at
So you
in
can never go back
Jacksonville
to
at that one.
Jacksonville again, Brig.
Right.
That's your
Yeah.
only trip.
Well, good
Sorry,
thing I got
Jacksonville
two hats.
shrimp. Brig will not be going back to another one of your games.
I'll just pick
At
a
least not until
different
he's cut
parking
his hair and
garage.
shaved his beard.
That's right. That's it. Anyway, baseball family, we're glad you're here with us. We hope you've been enjoying baseball games, and we hope they've not been cold. However, if you're anywhere other than basically Southern California, because even in Florida it was a little chilly, then you probably having cold games. But it doesn't matter as long as you're not as injured as everybody else is right now. Okay, let's talk about a couple of things. First thing we're going to get into is Vlad and his contract. But before we do that, I want to remind everybody that we are here every Tuesday morning for your commute. We're here every Thursday night. That's live like now, Thursday night 9:30, and then we're on Sundays as well. You can get us wherever you consume your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, etc., as well as YouTube, which is the best place to follow us. So if you're on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe, hit the bell, make sure you don't miss anything coming from us. We drop stuff daily, also across all social media platforms. So Vlad Guerrero Jr.'s contract extension has been the talk of the town for however, as long as it's been
Well, news came
known.
out Monday, and just the
Right.
fact, the years and the money, and so I talked about it then, but we didn't have a whole lot of details. But now the details are out.
We've got the details. And it is fascinating, as we like to say. So here's the deal 14 years, $500 million. That's what we were told. But it breaks down really interestingly. We've got $325 million of that, Brad, is going to be by way of signing bonus.
It's got to be the
They're
biggest signing
calling it
bonus in the history of the world.
probably. They're like, you know what we're going to do? I see your deferred money. I raise you a signing bonus. so, so essentially, what we have is a super top heavy signing bonus, which will be, according to reports we've heard, it will be paid to an account in Florida where there is no income tax. Then the remaining $175 million, which is considered the actual salary, which will be a paycheck that is taxed during the season, that'll be approximately 12.5 million, and that is issued or listed against the luxury tax, the payroll tax for that season. Now, payroll tax, luxury tax gets accounted for a couple of different ways, but this frees up the Blue Jays' ability to move guys around on the roster and play with payroll right now for this season, at least.
Mhm.
So, just for all of you who are confused, as was I, the luxury tax does take into consideration the average annual value of the contract. Vlad's average annual value is $35.71 million. Okay. But right now, and for this season, before that's entirely calculated and accounted for at the end of this year, that will free up 12 to $13 million in payroll. And that could be a big deal come trade time.
It could be, yeah, because all it takes is sending some guys off and getting some money back to help alleviate that. However, that all that being said, the Blue Jays are one of the richest owners, have one of the richest ownership groups in baseball, so finances are not really an issue for them at all.
Nor are we
So,
surprised to see what could be considered funny business finance decision
so,
making
so this is
coming from
interesting
those
because
kind of people.
so I was watching Samson today, and he was talking about this, and one of the things he talked about when he was working for the Expos before they sold and moved them, um, he said that the Canadian equivalent of the IRS, I can't remember what he said it's
Mhm.
called, but he said that there were a lot of lawsuits, and he's like, I was involved in them. I had to go testify because of these lawsuits, because the Canadian government was like, well, you guys are doing this in a way that we're not getting our cut. We're not getting our fair share. And we saw the same thing in California when Otani signed his deal with all that deferred money, because basically what it comes down to is that if Otani is not living in California when his 10 years are up and he's getting all that deferred money, this, what is it, 68 million a year
Mm,
for 10 years after his
yeah,
contract is up, he could go live in Florida or Texas and
yeah,
not have state income tax, not have to worry about it. And
yep.
so California was like, hold on, we're missing out on a whole lot of money here. And so there's a whole
Yeah,
thing
wait
about
a
it. But notice, Brig, we haven't heard a thing about it in a
yeah,
while.
yeah. I wonder
So,
why. Probably on account of there's nothing they can do right now. So,
well, and I would also say account of maybe some palms were greased. I don't know.
ooh,
But anyway,
say it ain't so, Brad.
I don't
That
know.
never happens. Never ever.
I don't know. Maybe
Uh-uh.
I've been watching too many like Star Wars movies and stuff where politicians can be bought off. I don't know.
Nuh-uh. Okay.
It's fiction, Brig.
It's all fiction. We're not interested in the truth. We're interested in authenticity. All right.
Anyway, no,
Kenley,
I think
so do you have any other thoughts on this Vlad deal
I think
before we
it's
move
great.
on?
I think it's a great way to do this. Good for him for getting the most money out of his deal that he can and finding ways to do it. And I'm sure he wasn't the one who was like, "Now hold on, guys. Look, if we do it this way, he's got
Yeah.
a really smart accountant. He's got a really smart agent. I'm sure the Blue Jays obviously have very smart people working for them. Good for all of them for figuring out ways to make it happen and make it work, because He's certainly earned it.
I agree.
He's a
Now,
world-class athlete. He deserves to be paid like it.
now, the question. I agree. The question is, will any of these financial smoke and mirrors, these magic tricks, right? Will any of this come up in the collective bargaining agreement, or is this good for the players and the owners and nobody cares?
Good for players, good for owners. Nobody cares.
That's
Deferred
exactly
money,
how I feel.
players love it. You're because
Yep.
I've always said with deferred money, I'll say it again. It's basically your pension, right? You're making so much money during the season anyway that doesn't really matter, but they're funding your retirement. It's great. Go ahead and get
Yep.
your deferred money. And also, teams love it because they're just like, we're paying that out anyway, and we can just throw it in there, and it helps with a little bit of flexibility during the season because they're spreading it out, da 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 da. However, it all works, whatever. So I think
Yep.
everybody likes it. Everybody's happy. I don't think it's even going to come up in the CBA. I don't think it's going to be an issue at all, any of it.
So that's my official position as well, knowing as little as I do about it, admittedly. But I can't imagine this being, stuck in anybody's craw during that negotiation at all. I bet everybody loves it. They're like, all right, cool. What are you going to do this time?
Well, it's like Dodgers fans have been saying all offseason. Every team can do it. Yes, every
Yeah.
team has the ability to, like legally, the ability to do it. Not everybody has the finances to do it. To throw a big fat lump sum of money in an escrow account to pay out over the next 10 to 15 years, right?
Yeah.
That's what not everybody has the ability to do. Everybody has
That's a
the ability
fact.
to defer money. So,
Right. Yeah. Anyway, I think it's great. Good for Vlad. Do you think this improves their chances having him for another He's been with their organization since he was 16 years old. Did you know that?
yeah, he signed as an international free agent. Yeah,
Yep. So from 16 to what is this going to put him at? 40,
yeah,
basically.
a literal
He's
lifer.
yeah, literally.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is great. You know how I just love franchise players, guys that are with the
Mm-hmm.
club for their entire career. Now, this has brought up conversation about Bo Bichette, what his extension might look like. His free agency is coming up. We don't know anything what that means. You know, we don't know. But there is a lot of discussion about signing him to a long term extension as well and making them both lifers, which I think is awesome.
Yeah, uh, I
I'm a little worried about Bo
think
Bichette's performance,
that's what I was gonna
but
say.
I like
That
the idea of
he's a little
lifers.
more up and down than Vlad has been, because like Vlad's like downs are still like all-star level, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
he's that good. But Bo Bichette's downs have been like really bad, like negative war bad. So
Yeah, they have been.
I don't know. We'll
Yeah,
see what happens with him. I'm sure he would like a contract extension, obviously. But at the
for
same time,
sure.
though, if he doesn't get one and he goes and hits the free agent market, somebody's going to overpay for him because they know the potential.
Yeah, I
Because
agree.
there's going to be a
And
bidding war. So I think he'll
so
get more.
so when Bo Bichette, he was quoted today, yesterday, something like that, having said that essentially he wants to be he growing up and coming up, he always wanted to be with one club, whatever it was, for his entire career. That's what he said he wanted. Whether that's true or not, and why would it not be? It sounds like that's him saying, come on, make the phone call. Like, come on, let's do this. Don't
Yeah.
leave me hanging. And I'll bet if I'm the Blue Jays, I'm like, prove it a little bit. Okay, come on.
Yeah. Could be.
We'll see.
I don't know.
We'll see what happens.
I think he'll get more money if he hits the free agent market. I think he'd be better off, honestly.
Yeah,
But
you're probably right.
we'll see what happens. There's a lot of time left in this season, a lot of time before he hits that. Before we move on, real
Hmm.
quick, Brig, I just want to show thanks, Devin, for uh,
Oh,
for the comment.
thanks, Devin.
Appreciate it.
You're the best, Devin.
No,
This is
Devin,
great.
you're the best.
You're the best. No, we're glad you're having a good time. We're having a good time. We couldn't do it without you. Baseball family, this is my opportunity to thank you for being here with us, for what, 5+ years now. And for those of you who are new to the show, welcome. Welcome to seriously. We do it because we love it, and we do it because it's fun, and we do it because you love it. So baseball brings people together. That's why we started this whole thing, and it's a vehicle for that, for connection. So
Hmm.
speaking of connection, how's that for a segue?
Nice.
Ken Kenley Jansen. Kenley Jansen has now recorded his 450th career save. Now, that sounds like a big deal because it is a big deal. He's the fourth player to ever have reached 450 saves in a career, and he's done so in his 16th season. That's contextual information you'll need. This also puts him at the fourth all time on the leaderboard for saves. Fourth all time. That, to me, I did not see that coming. And I'm going to ask my question here because I want to know what you guys think, baseball family, and I want to know what Brad thinks. Does this make Kenley Jansen a Hall of Fame inductee? Is he going?
Yes.
Does this cement him as a Hall of Famer?
Yes. Yeah, it does. Only four guys to ever do it, and the fact that he's been doing it for 16 seasons. The fact that he's like, I know you can't say this like absolutely about guys that the fact they've been doing it for 16 years, but that's a long time to be that high in your game. The fact that he's still getting saves 16 years in, like Jesse
Right.
Chavez, I think should be getting votes. I know he was kind of mediocre, but the dude's been at it for like 20 years and
He
still out
really
there
has
doing
been.
his thing, right?
It's
Like,
true.
get
Yeah.
that dude some votes when it's time because the longevity and the level of consistency. I know his peak wasn't up where everybody else's was, but the fact these guys can do it is unbelievable. Because one of the things I'll never forget is David Sampson talking about players who make their debuts. He says we bring them in, we tell them, "Welcome. This is the hardest thing you've had to do at this point of your career. Now the hardest thing is going to be staying here."
Yeah.
Kenley Jansen has stayed for 16 years. That's a lot. Especially when what? I can't remember the number off the top of my head, but there's a certain percentage of players who don't even make it to arbitration, and it's a really high number.
It's a really high
And
number. And then the
and
10-year
obviously an
mark.
even higher number doesn't make it to free agency, and then such a small number actually makes it to the 10 years where you're fully vested in your pension. Like that's a really big deal. And I'm
Yeah.
guessing 16 years, Brig.
It's a
Kenley
long
Jansen's
time.
career can legally drive a car. I mean, I guess not technically. Maybe it's got its permit almost because he's in his
Yeah.
16th year. But at the end of the season, Kenley Jansen's career, he should buy himself a new car because his career can drive a car. How's that for
That's
context?
fantastic. That's fantastic. Kenley Jansen, he had 4 saves in 2010, 5 in 2011, and 11 in the COVID shortened 2020 season. Other than that, it's been double digits the whole way, and he's not recorded any fewer than 25 saves in a single season. He's had 25 saves or more every year, other than those three.
And
And
he's
he
missed
led the
time
league
too.
twice.
I was gonna say, and he's missed time too because he had that heart condition when he was in LA. So it's not
Yep.
like he's been healthy the whole way and just not missed. Like he missed some time for that. So
Yep. He in both 2017 and in 2022, he led the league with 41 saves each of those 2 seasons. That's crazy. Now, here's the last bit of context I think is really going to cement this. If you're ever wondering, does Kenley Jansen belong in the Hall of Fame? Here you go. He's fourth on the list of all time saves leaders. Number three is Lee Smith, 478 saves over 18 seasons, Hall of Fame. Number two, Trevor Hoffman, 601 career saves, 18 seasons, Hall of Fame. Mariano Rivera is the number one guy, 652, 19 seasons, Hall of Fame. I think that seals the deal.
mhm. Yeah,
So
yep, get him
that's
in.
pretty much it. It's a big deal. Okay, last thing, and then we're going to get into the schedule for weekend games. The Dodgers lost their second straight series. Now, don't forget, baseball family, that a mere 15 days ago, we were all thinking if the Dodgers even lose a series, we're all going to wonder what's going on. They've done it twice now. and they've done it back to back. They lost to the Phillies, and then they lost to the Nationals.
That Nationals one though, like that really had me scratching my head.
That should
And
sting.
I know,
It really
and this
should
is the
sting.
thing, is I know that teams have like their days, or like even like a few days. Like the Mariners at this point have been hitting like a buck 20 or whatever. They're like almost last in the league in batting average, and they're not scoring runs, did all this stuff.
Yeah.
But it's been 11 games. And somebody on I was scrolling Facebook comments on this post, and somebody's like, every team is going to have an 11 game stretch where they go 4-7 and hit a buck 50. Every team does. You cannot be consistently good over 162 games. And this might be the Dodgers' only stretch where they go, what,
It
2 and
might
4?
be. Yeah.
Like they might just like figure it out and go the rest of the way. But there's a good chance, Brig, in August, they're going to lose 8 out of 10 games. Like there's a
Yep,
really good chance that that's going to happen at some point.
for sure.
And I
Yeah.
don't think we should be as shocked as we are right now. I think the shock value comes the fact they lost 2 out of 3 to the Nats.
That's what I was just gonna say. That's the big stumper right there.
Yeah.
And gave up multi home run games to single players, right? Like it's just
And
I don't know.
I
And
will say at one point I checked in like with those games against the Nats to see what was going on. And I saw Dustin May was pitching and glad he's back. I love Dustin May. I'm a big Dustin May fan. I don't think he's quite there yet though. He'll get there.
mhm.
And it's fine because like I said before, they have a huge margin of error. They have a lot
Oh
of
yeah.
space to throw some games away because they're going to get to the playoffs and they're going to be fine. In fact, they're probably going to
Yep.
run away with the division, is what's going to happen. I will not be
Maybe.
surprised if that happens, despite struggles along the way at certain points. But my thing was like, Dustin May's not there yet. That's fine. He's coming back from a long way to get to
Yeah.
here. He's still got a ways to go, and the fact that he's even here is great and good on him. Let him go out there and pitch and struggle a little bit. It's going to happen.
I agree.
So,
Yep. Yeah, I think you're right. I just thought it was interesting, and I thought we ought to all just sit and acknowledge that this is happening, acknowledge that this does not mean Rome is burning, and
right.
everything's fine. But we were wondering whether it would even happen, and yes, here we are, 11 games into the season. Yes, it has. Thank you very much. Now
Hmm.
let's move right along.
Yep, for
Did
sure.
you see that? Did you see that? Any of those games in Philly though? Real quick.
I didn't get a chance to watch him. I was scoreboard watching to see what was going on.
Okay. All
I
right.
did see the
Well,
one. No, that was not LA. Never mind. Go ahead.
listen, JT Realmuto is the real deal. Okay? You don't always need replay, but when you do, he oftentimes will come out on top. So don't be cheating on JT. He'll get you. And
There are
if he does
some
get you, it's probably not his fault. It's probably the second baseman who missed the swipe or whatever it might have been.
there are some guys who are that good. Like during spring
Yeah.
training with the challenge system, Cal Raleigh was perfect on his challenges. The whole like it
Yep.
was like 13 for 13 all spring. And he didn't even catch all game every game.
Not surprised. Real quick, I know we don't need to be talking about this, but did you see the big dumper dumping people on the video board?
Yes, I did. And I sent it to my niece and I said, "Keep this one in your back pocket just in case."
It's
And
the
she's like,
greatest thing. It's the
"Yes, I
greatest
love
thing.
it." So
I
funny.
explained that. I was like, I had a couple people ask, they're like, "What's going on here?" And I'm like, "Let me tell you what's
Let
going
me
on
tell you
here."
about it. It's so
Yeah,
funny.
it's absolutely fantastic. All
Amazing.
right.
Should we get into the
Really
national
quick
TV
before we
schedule?
jump into the schedule, don't forget to go over to Chinook Seedery where you can get 10% off your order of the best seeds ever. Best seeds ever. See, it says right there, and it's true. I got my Parma Pep right here. I always have an emergency stash of Parma Pep right in front of me with the microphone. I feel like if I traveled, it would travel with me. But you can go to ChinookSeedery.com, use code BTPOD at checkout. That'll get you 10% off your Chinook Seed order. Okay, national TV schedule for the weekend. Here we go. All these times are Eastern Standard Time. Friday,
Daylight.
your MLB TV free game of the day will feature Milwaukee. They'll be at Arizona in Phoenix, 9:40 p.m. Apple TV Plus is back this weekend. We've got Pittsburgh at Cincinnati. That's a 6:40 start time. And then Detroit will be in Minnesota because they love to freeze, and that'll be at 8:10 p.m.
It's going to be so cold.
Yeah.
Saturday, your MLB TV free game of the day is Texas at Seattle, 9:40 p.m. Your FS1 game of the day is going to be San Francisco at the New York Yankees. That game starts at 3:05 p.m. And those are all your games for Saturday. Not very many.
Yeah.
Well, as far as
Sunday,
national TV goes.
Yeah, Sunday, MLB TV's free game will feature the Atlanta Braves in, well, they're at Tampa. They're playing the Rays, but they're at that Steinbrenner Field, by the way. Okay.
Dude, did you see that? Did you see what happened in that game today with the
Yep.
Angels? The Angels scored 8 runs in one inning, hit 4 home runs. Joe Adell goes yard twice. Mike Trout totally missed one, pops it up, and because the wind, apparently as it always does, was blowing left to right, carried that ball right out. That's going to be a launch pad all season. Sacramento going to be a launch pad all season long.
Yep.
Well, I shouldn't say all season. In Tampa, they're front loaded on their schedule because they worry about the heat and rainouts. But
True.
Still, crazy, man.
Yeah, but that one down the right field line, that one made no sense. You should see where the ball left the bat at the angle. It ought to be a foul ball up behind him. It doesn't belong out in the seats.
I think they said that the ball traveled 315.
Yeah, in the air. 315 in the air.
Perfect parabola.
All right, Sunday, your MLB TV free game of the day. Atlanta will be facing the Rays. That's a 1:40 p.m. start time, and then ESPN is going to give us some baseball. That's Chicago in Los Angeles facing the Dodgers, 7:10 p.m. So Brad and I are going to give you our series to watch, which is brought to you by SeatGeek. If Brad and I were going to games this weekend, these are the games we would go to, and we would use SeatGeek to get our tickets. You can too. Head over to SeatGeek.com and use code BASEBALLTOGETHER. That's all one word. BASEBALLTOGETHER to save $20 on your first order. Baseball Together, one word. SeatGeek.com to get your tickets to the biggest games this weekend and any time. SeatGeek is the official marketplace of Major League Baseball for tickets. Brad, what are you watching?
For sure. Obviously, the Mariners and Rangers. That's huge. The Rangers off to a really hot start. The Mariners are not so much. Hoping they can carry some momentum into this weekend from a crazy walk-off comeback against the Astros on Wednesday. Believe it or not, I'm going to be watching Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. A couple of really interesting teams to me. I know they're supposed to be finishing at the bottom of that division, but they fascinate me because they have a chance to cause a lot of problems. So I like to watch those teams. Got some players I like. The Royals and Cleveland's baseball club. I'll be watching that series. And the Cubs and the Dodgers. Because to be completely honest with you, I think this Cubs team is really, really good. And they have a chance to stick it to the Dodgers this weekend. I know it'll be tough in LA, but they could really assert their dominance, announce their presence with authority by taking 2 out of 3 in LA.
I've been riding pretty high on the Cubs, and especially the last week or so. They have been, I thought they were going to be decent, but they have been way more than decent, and it's pretty exciting. So, I will be watching the Yankees because they're going to be playing the Giants. So, super duh there.
A good series.
I think so. The Giants are also surprisingly showing up these days, and that I didn't see coming, but I'm here for it. Because the Yankees seem to rise to the occasion right now. They've been dropping some weird games, and I don't like it. I know we got some pitching struggles and stuff like that, but hopefully they rise to the occasion. So I'll be paying attention to that. Blue Jays, Orioles, Birdland battle. I think that's interesting. I want to see what the Blue Jays are capable of, and are these Orioles really struggling? Are they going to keep struggling the way they've been struggling? So that'll be a scoreboard watch for me. And then Braves Rays, we talked about why. I think that makes a lot of sense. So, and then just like you said, Cubs Dodgers, I'll be watching that.
Yeah,
that's where I'm at. It's gonna be awesome.
Be a good weekend of baseball. Looking forward to it. Baseball family, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, rate, and review everywhere that you can. We'll be back on Tuesday. We'll catch you then.